Hi everyone, today we're going to learn a few physical properties and physical changes in the states of matter, and we're going to understand the difference between different states of matter in the terms of motion and energy. So we said everything in the world are matter. They're all matter, okay? So matters are everything contains mass and occupies space. If we zoom in any matter, just like this apple, all matters in the world are made of tiny particles. This picture is showing you everything is made of cell. Inside the cell, it's all of those tiny, tiny particles. We call them atoms. So our molecules are basically a few atoms connect together, like water molecule contains, people call it H2O. It contains two hydrogen atom and one oxygen atom. It connect together. Okay, so all matter are made of tiny particles called atoms or molecules. Okay, so scientists believe all the particles in matter are always in motion, means they're always moving. Okay, they're either vibrating or moving fast. Okay, so one thing you need to know is all matters are made of atoms or molecules, and all of those molecules they're moving around. Okay, so because they are moving, it contains energy. Here's a term for you, it's called kinetic energy. Okay, so kinetic energy is the energy any object has due to the motion of the particles, the atoms or the molecules. Kinetics means to move. Okay, how do we calculate kinetic energy? It's 1/2 means 1/2. This m means mass, and this v is means velocity, like how fast they're moving. The object contains more mass, has more kinetic energy, and the particles are moving faster with higher velocity will contains more energy. Okay, so I think we all know it, right? States of matter are three: solids, liquids, and gas. Okay, here's a picture of ice, water, and water vapor. Okay, here's if we look at the atoms inside solid, liquid, and gas, it look like this. Okay, in solid, it's packed in there. They don't move around. Okay, in the liquid, they're kind of moving around, and the distance between each atoms are further away, but they're still not freely move around. In the gas state, so most of the atoms are moving around. Also, they are kind of like stay away from each other. Okay, that's the difference between solid, liquid, and gas. Okay, so as we said, kinetic energy is because the motion in solids, the particles are vibrating in there. Okay, you don't really see them in the real world, but when we zoom into the particle, they are vibrating. So it contains the velocity is very small, so it contains the least energy. And for liquid, it contains higher energy because the motion is faster compared to solid. And then in the gas, it contains the most energy because the molecules are moving way faster than solids and liquids. Okay, so how do we measure the kinetic energy, the amount of kinetic energy in any object? So temperature is basically the measure of the kinetic energy of the particles in the object. We normally measure the temperature, right? Higher temperature means contains more energy, means the particles in there are moving faster. Lower energy means it contains less kinetic energy and the particles in there are moving slower. Okay, so when we add some heat into a material, imagine you have a pot with lots of water in there. Okay, when we add heat, when we heat it up, the atoms begin to move faster, faster and faster. Okay, when we keep on adding more and more heat, it keep on going up. So that means the particles contains more kinetic energy, and with more kinetic energy, you are going to see the temperature increase. Okay, so that's in chemistry point of view or in the tiny particle point of view, what's going on, right? So hot object has more kinetic energy, and temperature is higher. And cold object has less kinetic energy, the temperature is lower. Okay, because the change of kinetic energy, the chemicals, the objects can change phases. Okay, so it can change from solid to liquid and to gas. Okay, and it can also change back. So those are the vocabularies. For most of it, you are familiar with it, right? Just solid like snow or ice, it can melt when we add some energy, when we heat it up, right? So the kinetic energy increase, temperature increase, it eventually become to liquid. Okay, so for liquid, when we heat it up, it can evaporate. We call it evaporation. It become to gas. For water, we call it water vapor. Okay, so for water vapor go up to the sky when it's cool down, we call it deposition. That's when we get snow. Okay, gas directly become to solid. That's a process we call it deposition. So that's when we get snow. And condensation is from gas to liquid. That's the rain process, right? So water vapor become to liquid, become to rain. Okay. And once it's get on the ground, it's very cold. It can become to ice. So we call it freezing. Okay. It can become to solid. And there's another process we call sublimation. This is probably a new word for you. I'm going to put a video of a sublimation process. Not every object can do this process. Okay. Only a few can do sublimation, but most need to change from solid to liquid to gas. But a few things can change from solid to gas directly. We call it sublimation. So six words for you, please. You want to write those down: melting, evaporation, deposition, freezing, condensation, sublimation. Okay, how can objects change from different states? It's again really because of either absorb energy or release energy. Okay, it's really heated up or cool it down, right? So there are two new vocabularies for you. One is called endothermic. Endothermic is talking about a process to absorb some energy. Okay, endothermic. It's thermal means some kind of heat, right? Endothermic means needs energy. Okay, so like melting, when we melt stuff, we need to heat it up, right? And the evaporation, like when water boiling and evaporate, we need to heat it up, right? And the sublimation from solid to gas. These three process, we need to give it energy. So that's called the endothermic process. Okay, that's why when we have snow, the temperature can go down because when snow melts, it needs energy. So it absorb energy. We call the process endothermic process. Okay, the other one is exothermic. Exothermic means a process to release energy. Okay, like freezing and the condensation and deposition, those are the process it will release energy, give off energy. Okay, we call it endothermic, exothermic, sorry. Okay, so to summarize, all matter are made of particles. You may want to write all of this down on your notebook. All matter are made of particles, and all the particles are in constant motion, even in solid. Yeah. We're going to do a simulation during the live class so you can understand it better. The energy, because of motion, we call it kinetic energy. Okay, so that means all matter contains kinetic energy. How do we know how much kinetic energy it contains? We use temperature to measure it. Okay, temperature is the measure of the amount of kinetic energy. Higher kinetic energy means the particles are moving faster, higher temperature. Okay, so state of matter can change while the energy changes. We can give it energy. This is called endothermic process, or it can release energy. We call it exothermic process. Because of that, the physics can change. Those are physical changes. Okay, like six vocabularies you need to know: freezing, melting, condensation, evaporation, deposition, and sublimation. Okay, thank you for watching. Hopefully this is helpful for you. And I'm going to attach a few videos for you to watch too. And then we are going to do a simulation during the class. Thank you. Bye-bye.